Hello, trading has closed on February 15th, 2023. We'll do our disclaimer, review our calls, and then make some predictions. It's my trading plan for February 16th, 2023. Please remember, my calls can be wrong. Any trade you make should be at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early low, which is this. Tomorrow should also have the early low. They said the diamond on stilts pattern didn't have to go to completion, but it did. We said that the origin of the left stilt was a support resistance area, and there's support at and just under the origin of the left stilt. At this point, it was not really clear if the support was going to hold, but by the passage of enough time, it was clear that support held. Now, if this usually the first challenge of the origin of the left still holds, but the next challenge breaks in grand style. The break, usually, if it's going to break in grand style, doesn't come immediately after the first challenge. There's a bunch of challenges here, and I don't count that. But who knows, by tomorrow it might be late enough. We said the commonest thing was a gap and prompt move outside the day's range. That didn't happen. Next most common is a close, is close little change and move big the next day. Well, I arbitrarily defined close little change as 1/4%. We changed by 0.28%, so by 0.3%, 0.03%, that's a miss. But I still think it's pretty likely we have a big move tomorrow, since that 1/4% figure was kind of arbitrary. We also had a target of 41, 48, 43. I thought it might not print. Once again, we came close. We came within 0.32. There is a tolerance on these calls, but that's outside the tolerance, so that is a miss, and we have to add it to the list. Should still print at some time. During the day, MEJT here gave us a buy, and that certainly worked. Now, this is a pattern which usually rallies throughout the day. It's a new high in the final hour. So it looks like we did that, but actually I think looks can be deceiving, because with only 5 minutes left to trade, we were clearly under these prior highs from the afternoon, and to break this late in the day can only happen if institutions aren't behind it. If institutions are behind the move higher, they're not going to wait till the last 5 minutes when liquidity dries up. Now, I don't know how we'll open tomorrow, and if we hold on to this tomorrow, all that negativity goes away. But for right now, I think it's likely that's a false move, and if it is a false move, we'll gap down tomorrow, perhaps sharply. You don't have to risk money till you know. Well, this was the pattern we came up with. It hasn't been broken. From the high, we had A down, we had ABC up. We had this as an ending diagonal triangle. If that's the right count, we should undercut this low, and that hasn't happened yet. We have had a move down, and we have an A and a B, and C equal to A. So if we do stop here, it's a perfect ABC, and then we should have wave red C down. We won't know that till tomorrow either. But I don't think this count's been invalidated yet. Maybe it will be. Tomorrow's pattern has early low. It doesn't mean you won't gap up. The producer price index comes out before tomorrow's open, tends to be a market mover, and I can't predict the response to it with any degree of accuracy. When these reports come out, I just make my analysis, but don't risk any money on it, because I just can't predict the response to these things, and no reason to risk money when you Can't predict something when we have other techniques that can. The market waited till the final 5 minutes to break out to a new high day. The timing of the breakout is negative. It implies only when institutions were absent did the sellers of lower prices dry up. Continuing higher at tomorrow's open kills that pattern, but if I'm right about this, we'll gap down. Won't know that till tomorrow. The wave count continues to justify a move lower, while the volume spike indicates prices are near a low in terms of time. And one way for this inconsistency to be rectified would be for a sharp move lower with volume increasing over yesterday's level. So I think we're still vulnerable to having a big drop here, assuming these highs hold. These highs don't hold, the idea is killed. We came close to an unchanged close today, and I believe we'll see a big move tomorrow. I expect that the direction of the move is going to be clear before the open. We came close enough to my 0.25% that my usual rules are going to call for a large move. We still have a volume spike that's usually associated with lows. We have a wave count calling for a high, and I can't really rectify the two unless the volume goes even higher than we saw yesterday with a big drop. Now that might happen, it might not. I'm not going to risk any money until I see the response to the PPI report. But if it is negative response, if we do get the gap down, I think it could have legs. And if we don't get the gap down, I have to reassess things tomorrow. Tomorrow has the early low, and that's today's call.